Parahormonal activity is a pretty decent episode of The Simpsons. It definitely addresses some important topics. In terms of having a clear beginning, middle and end, it's maybe not the most satisfying, but it's still pretty decent. This is the 11th episode of season 37 of The Simpsons. It's directed by Chris Clements, and as always there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode chronologically and share some thoughts. And I don't actually have that many thoughts. I do have a few things here and there, but as I said, as a story, I don't think it was the most interesting, but they certainly got some good points across. This is set a few years into the future. Bart and Lisa are now teenagers. Maggie is obviously a little bit older. She's voiced by Lindsay Lohan. And I am kind of bored of the constant flash forwards, but what I do like is that this isn't as heavily focused on Bart and Lisa. Usually when we have an episode that focuses on the future, it's about Bart and Lisa being teenagers or young adults, and while that's obviously the case here, this one's actually more about Marge, and to some extent Homer, and I think that was a really good decision. I do like the character designs. I do think they look really good. Also, Ned's house looks pretty great, and Marge has experienced what she believes is her first hot flash, and she starts to panic about her age. She starts to feel undesirable, and she demands Botox, which Lisa is not happy about because Lisa is all about growing older naturally as her mother instilled in her, but now Marge is getting Botox, making her a hypocrite, and I imagine it's something a lot of people do face. I am very much of the mind that I want to grow old naturally, but when I get 20, 30 years down the line, maybe I'll change my mind about that. So yes, it might seem hypocritical to Lisa, but I think it does highlight an important aspect that you may change your mind, as Marge did. It can be common to panic when you start to realise that you are getting older and you are, as Marge is, experiencing perimenopause, which I thought was it's a really important topic to address. And I don't know why I feel surprised that The Simpsons addressed it, but I'm really pleased that they did. I think it was a really good decision. Homer is remaining very calm about everything, while Marge is completely losing it. She's losing it about Bart growing up and looking at things he perhaps shouldn't be, or at least she doesn't think he should be, and then she goes to a clinic and is told that there's not much research into conditions affecting only women, which may or may not be true. And then Homer bought a new fridge, which was very random, and then he ends up calling 911 because he is in bed with Marge and can't perform. Seems a little bit dramatic, but I did like the fact that it also included some changes that men may face as they get older as well. And obviously it does seem like, speaking as a female, we do have worse things in store for us over time as we get older. Menopause is apparently utterly horrendous for some people, not looking forward to it. But I do like the fact that they also included Homer in there, and to show that there could be some changes later in life for men as well. And then just the house descends into absolute chaos, and then they go to Flanders' wedding, which honestly I didn't care for. I didn't like the part of the narrative. I don't think the story itself, the story surrounding Marge's experience with perimenopause, I didn't think was that interesting. It was fine. It serves as a platform to deliver the main messages, but it just wasn't that fascinating. And when they go there, we have obviously teenage hormones all over the place, older adult hormones all over the place, and then Marge ends up having a heart-to-heart with Lisa, and then Lisa gets on stage and performs even though she didn't want to, but she finds the confidence to do it, and it was a sweet way to end things, quite a nice way to end things. So as a narrative, it's not the most fascinating. I don't think the story is presented in a way that's perhaps as engaging as it could have been, but the messages, the key aspects as Marge realises things progressively throughout the episode, I thought were very, very effective, and I think it's a really important topic, and they've done a good job at showing that it can be scary, and that it can make you panic, and also changes can affect Homer as well. And basically, it's just one giant message. You're going to have hormonal changes your whole life, and there's nothing you can do about it. Obviously, certain medications can help with certain things, but hormonal changes, they're just part of life, and it affects us pretty much from teenage years onwards. And it's a depressing but true fact, but we get a lot of different perspectives here, and I think they did a really great job with that part of it. The whole Flanders getting married and all of that, it just felt kind of boring, not that interesting, but everything else worked really well. I really liked the animation of the characters, and ultimately I'd say it's a pretty decent episode of The Simpsons.